Okay, all right. Well, welcome back to 8, 10, possibly 12 weeks in cubing.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, we've been gone for a while. It's season 3. We'll just call it season 3, and we'll just roll with it and act like it was intentional.
Perfect. When Cam and I first talked about me being a co-host on here, I was like, well, what I can do is kind of like, I can definitely bring the, hey, don't forget, we got to film this week. Don't forget, we got to film this week, except when I'm on school holidays. And we have a huge school holiday over Christmas and New Year here in New Zealand. So I've only just really come back. So, you know, I'll take some accountability for that. You know, I wasn't there nagging hard in the background because I disappeared off somewhere.
That's always what we need. Is we're always looking for that you know, text from Mike saying, hey, we should probably do one of these.
That whip cracker in the DMs, you know? That's what I'm up to. I tell you what, there's been a lot going on. In that entire period we've not been around, but actually just quite a lot has happened in the last sort of 7 days as well. So we're not short of things to talk about. On the list today, we've got the PSL, we've got just all the world records, we've got the big releases from MoYu, GAN Square-1 confirmed, sort of, kind of.
A little asterisk there.
Confirmed asterisks. And some chat about mirror cubes as well, which is pretty exciting stuff. Do we want to, before we get into the PSL, do you think we should maybe start with the record roundup, like all the records that have happened?
Yeah, let's do that. There was quite a few of them.
Have you got the notes of them all there?
I have. I've got WCA Live pulled up, so I've got like just kind of sort of all of them.
Yeah, nice. So I'll tell you what, let's start with one that's conspicuous by its absence because, well, maybe not conspicuous, but it's not made it to WCA Live yet. And that's the young man Yiheng Wang with the 0.86, the first ever pure sub 1 2x2 average. Thoughts?
It is a little strange that it's not on WCA Live, but I'm hoping that it's more of a, hey, we know there's been controversy in the past. We're just making sure everything's good now before it's up, because they probably know that there's people who are going to, you know, question its validity. So I'm hoping that it's more of a precautionary thing. Like, hey, we're just double checking, making sure everything is good.
I might just add a little bit of insight to that potentially from the stuff that I've been doing on stream. So I had a lot of people kind of messaging me about it going, oh, this one looks sus again. This one looks sus. So I was like, I had to take a look at it. On the stream. And we frame counted it on Cubecast yesterday at the time of recording. And actually, it's hard to tell with YouTube frame counting anyway. I don't have the original source. I don't have 60 frames per second. I only had 30. And with that, it looked like there were some discrepancies up to around 0.1 of a second, 0.14, which is a lot in 2x2.
Right.
But also it might not be very scientific. Hey, listen, I'm not one of the people who are officially looking at it. But what we did see was some timer stops that I think they might want to take a look at. But having said that, the WCA said they weren't going to use frame-by-frame analysis to look at timer stops.
Interesting.
So maybe they won't. And the next thing I'll add is that Manu, who's in my chat, Manu from Speedcubing TV and Cubers Live, he did say when we were talking about, because I looked on WCA and was like, oh, it's not there yet. Is there anything in that? And he said that not necessarily. Not necessarily. We shouldn't jump to conclusions about that because it can take a while for Chinese results to come across. And exactly like you've said, it can take an extra minute for Yiheng's results to come across. I think possibly because of what's happened around his results in the past, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm hoping, because like as we've said multiple times, I don't think Yiheng is out here trying to be malicious in any way. I'm like pretty sure it's just one of those things that either it was a coach that told him to do it, or it's just something that happens, you know, just trying to, you know, pick it up as fast as you can, put it down as fast as you can. So I don't think there's any malicious intent behind it. I'm sure that it's all just, in the moment of competition.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, I feel like we're getting so... The solves are so fast that I feel like, is it sliding, or are we seeing possibly the limits of the technology at that end of the spectrum? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know enough about the inner workings of speed stacks. But the reason I took a look at it and the reason we frame counted it on the stream was because so many people were telling me, like people from China, actually. I have a couple of people who messaged me from China, and they were like, they were being quite conspiratorial, like there's another controversy coming, there's another thing coming, and I was like, ooh, okay, what's happening? What's going on here? And then people messaging me talking about it as well. So everyone was being quite clandestine about it. Nobody would say why or what. So that's why I thought, well, let's look at it,
Right.
But again, I'm not in a position of authority to make the calls on that. I would love it to be a real record. I hope it is. And I'll wait and see what is decided about it. Wait, maybe it'll just pop up there tomorrow, and this will all be irrelevant. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, I mean, regardless, just incredible solving from Yiheng.
Yeah, I still am like, even like when I first started cubing, getting a singular sub-1 solve was such like an amazing thing. Now it's like, you if you're the best in the world, you've got 10 plus sub-1s under your belt easily.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah. On 2x2 for sure, yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's become like this thing that was so sought after is now just like commonplace. So it's just crazy that we're getting to a point where something I would have considered absolutely crazy and unthinkable and unheard of is just like it's happening now. It's becoming the standard.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I think we missed out a technicality as well. So I think we were talking earlier on about the fact that it's not on Cubers Live. It's never going to be on Cubers Live. It's because it'll just go straight to WCA results, right? Because it's on China Cubing.
Yeah.
Or I forget the name of the site. All the Chinese comps don't go on WCA Live, or some of them don't. It's a little bit confusing. Big result for Tymon as well, right?
Yeah, he got that 4x4 world record average, 1917, I believe.
1917. I'm just having a look now because I don't know much about 4x4 records, to be honest. But I'm just trying to think, is that... Okay, so it's not the first sub-20. We've had sub-20 before. We've got... In first place now, Tymon with the 1917. Max Park had the 1938, of course. That's right, from 2023. That sat for a while, though.
Yeah. I will say, our next competition that we're doing, that Max Park will probably be at, May 3rd, that one has 4x4. And I will say, when we gave him the first VIN ball core 4x4, he loved it. When he was using it, he got a PB average. I don't know what it was because Max essentially just said PV average, and I went, what was it, Max? And he went back to solving. He was just locked in, and I was like, you know what? Like, I was like, I'm not gonna disturb him. He's obviously like in the zone right now. So, but yeah, apparently he got PB average, which I'm sure is a fair bit under the current world record. So, I'm quite optimistic that he'll probably take it back.
Yeah. Mad respect to Tymon.
Yeah.
Enjoy it until May.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah. You got a couple of months, but come May, he's taking it back.
And a new Megaminx average as well from Timofei.
Yeah. Taking it, I believe, from Leandro Martin Lopez, right?
MLM.
Yep.
LML, I mean. Not multi-layer marketing.
Yeah.
Leandro Martin Lopez. Yeah. So it was 2660. He's chopped a second and a bit off it. That's crazy. Wow. 2660 down to 2536.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's faster than like my 4x4 times. Like to do I've only recently really started getting into Megaminx, so I've only just now gotten like a couple of singles under the 1 minute barrier. So like for me, I feel like, I'm trying to turn as fast as I can. I feel efficient. Obviously, at a 1 minute, there's still plenty of room to improve. But to me, it's hard to wrap my brain around the fact that they can turn so much faster and like just so consistently and just get times that are under like 30 seconds.
Yeah. For me, speaking as a gentleman of a certain age, speaking as a senior cuber, you know what I mean? It's just the hardest part for me is not so much imagining the turning. It's just the recognition. The recognition of those 12 colors is just, I find that absolutely mind-boggling as well, But yeah, really super impressive. 25.36. So they're coming up against the big barrier now, which is that 25, right? Those Megaminx.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
I'm looking at my man Alexander Vucic here, sitting at number 6 in the world right now, 28.6. I reckon he can get those numbers up though. I reckon he can get there.
Yeah, and speaking of side events, we're gonna not do any world records. We're gonna shrink it down a little bit. Not quite continental, not quite national. We got state records going on right now. Mm-hmm. This last weekend, the Nevada state record for Pyraminx, the average, was broken. That one is we just got our first sub-3 average.
Okay.
And I think it's 2.83.
Let's go Nevada.
Yeah, we just got our first sub-3 average, which is quite a bit away from, some of the world best. But not only did we get a new a state record average from Preston Schwartz, we got a new state record single in Pyraminx. We got 1.74.
Dang.
From me.
From you. Let's go.
Yeah. It's only taken like a year and a half, but I finally got my first state record back in like early 2023. I was going for state record single and average in Pyraminx. Preston took it before I had the chance. He's maintained it for over a year now, and I've finally gotten at least one of them. I've got the single, and I've been waiting for so long, and it was, let me tell you, it feels good. It feels good.
Is that your first state record?
Yeah, that's my first state record, yeah.
Very cool. Won't be the last though, hey?
We'll see. We got some pretty competitive people.
Who have you got in Megaminx in the state?
We have Daniel Doherty and Michael Larson. They are still in like the 50 seconds, but Michael Larson has a 50 or 51 single, and so I can imagine that he's pretty close to getting consistent sub 50s. So, I mean, we're not super competitive. We're not like on the world stage yet, but we're definitely like we're a lot better than the average.
Okay. I found the wrong Michael Larson, who doesn't have any Megaminx results, so never mind. That's not very useful. Okay, cool. So, yeah, big weekend for records, hey? Real big weekend for records. I hope it all comes out good for where Yiheng's concerned as well. I want it to be real. Yeah. I want it to be approved. But yeah, really, really massive stuff. So we should talk about. There's been quite an exciting announcement in terms of alternate competition, in terms of like exhibition cubing, I suppose is kind of what we're calling it. Yeah. And that is, of course, the Me1 versus Me2 Mike Speedcubing League, the MSL. Taken the entire game by storm. We've seen some really close matches in there. Blistering speed at around 25 seconds. Yeah,
there's some pretty top-notch competitors in there.
Yep, we got, Sarcastic Mike threw it down and beat... No, I beg your pardon. Sarcastic Mike was wrecked by regular Mike. And then just yesterday, we had Monosyllabic Mike going up against FTO Mike. He really loves FTO. Of course, I'm joking. You can watch that if you want. I don't recommend it. It's very slow. But the Premier Speedcubing League has been announced from the brains of Tyson Mao and now run by Michael Chai. It is coming soon to our screens and to real life as well. What do you reckon? Have you thought about? Have you talked about it much? Have you seen much of it? I know Speedcube Shop is a sponsor.
Yeah, I am optimistic. I really want to see something like this take off, because where it stands right now is that the PSL seems to be the most digestible for like TV viewing for the non-cubers in the world, which are, obviously there's more of those than there are of cubers. So like if you go watch a normal WCA competition, the format is just not that good for, a casual viewer. Of course parents are going because they want to support their kids, but it's not something that I feel like I would have went to watch for entertainment before I got into cubing. To me, it's too many events. You can't, the way it's formatted, you don't really have too often like head-to-head style or even like the fastest people going against the fastest people. So with the PSL, the way it seems to be formatted seems to be a lot more digestible. It's what people have been wanting for a while, something that's meant to be broadcast. Now, I know a lot of people who have also said they wanted something like this are kind of turning around and being like, I don't like it, or I'm not optimistic for it, which is a shame, because there are some fair critiques that people have had and some that I agree with. But also at the same time, it's such a new thing. We've never really done this before, especially coming from the minds of people who are cubers and, know what cubing is like. So like with Red Bull, that happened back in 2013, I think it was, or maybe a little later than that.
Later than that. It was about 17, I think it started. 17 or 18 was the first one.
I think I'm thinking of Las Vegas World Championships, because Red Bull, I think, was in Las Vegas at one point.
Right.
So, but yeah, that format was not well received. Even though I think if we look back on it, I think there are some things we could take from that and actually use to try and further this more broadcast-friendly form of speedcubing.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it. I think it was in one of the Michael Chai interviews. He said Red Bull, he thinks, came too early to be accepted by the sort of top level cubers, but it also had some critical execution errors in it as well.
Yeah.
The PSL, though, I feel a bit more optimistic about. The idea behind it is to create great moments to watch for cubers and non-cubers alike. And they're doing it in a way that is, I think, it's comparable with a lot of mainstream sports and and esports and things like that. It's a head-to-head knockout bracket that takes, ideally they're aiming for 64, whittling down to the top 8, and then that top 8 is where the big broadcast outcomes are supposed to come from. They've partnered with Speedcubing TV, who are probably, you could argue the most capable streaming setup in the game.
Yeah.
I've heard them referred to as Speedcubing's ESPN,
Yeah. And
well, that might be over cooking the pudding. It's I can see why people would say that as well. So there are a couple of events coming up. One in Berkeley in March, and one in San Diego in later than March. I can't remember.
Yeah, some month after March. It's one of them.
But they're inviting a number of athletes along to it. They're inviting 4. There will always be 4 invited athletes, is my understanding. And they don't get a guaranteed entry into the top 8. My understanding is they've got to battle through the rest of it as well. They're just invited to participate.
Right.
So far we got Dylan Miller, we got Matti Hiroto Inaba, and we've just had Tymon Kolejinski announced as well. And I've been having a lot of fun on stream kind of speculating who that 4th person might be. I don't know it's driving me nuts that I don't know. But it's kind of fun speculating who that fourth might be for the Berkeley one. So yeah, it's kind of exciting. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm excited for it. I think if things go well, it's going to kickstart the league, and it's going to do big things. If it doesn't go well, I still think in the future, I still think it'll be around. I think it's just going to take longer to just get up and running. But the thing is like, people have been asking for something like this. It's now here. We need to support it. I get that there are some things that people have critiqued, like how much it costs, even just to be, a spectator. And, I get it. High price. We're used to having the comp registration fee be really low. And most of the times, no spectator fee. We're just comfortable with that. So when it comes to something new like this that we're trying to push that would overall be a benefit for the community, we have to realize that it's not going to be the same all around. And pricing is kind of up there, but it's the first one they're doing. I guarantee that as this gets further down the line, it's not going to cost that much. The price will eventually go down as this becomes a more consistent and well-regulated and oiled machine.
Yeah, I did a number of videos on this already, and I spoke to Michael Chai. I had sort of an exclusive it wasn't exclusive. The stream itself, it was exclusively about PSL, and it was exclusively talking to Michael Chai just to try and answer some of those questions that came up almost immediately from certain quarters. And I asked him about that, and I asked him where money would go if he was to generate more sponsorship money, and he was quite honest about it. Some things that are important to understand is that there's no volunteers involved in the PSL. People are getting paid to be part of the staff there. Michael Chai is currently taking no money and is not planning to at any point soon. His priority is to put money back into the event to create a better system. But yeah, at some point, if where money comes in, the idea would to bring down that barrier to entry for people who want to compete in it and for people who want to observe it as well.
Yeah, I do think that 3x3 is obviously the most recognizable event. I think we need, as it gets further down the line, just to because I don't know how well having 64 people is going to work out. Because I understand we're only really streaming the final 8, but 64 people is a lot of people to have throughout the day. And I think it would be good to maybe... Like if you watch track and field or something, there's multiple events. We obviously don't need to have every WCA event, but I think it'd be cool if we did, we did 3x3 as the last event, and maybe throughout the day we did 4x4 and one other thing, and that's it. Because we still have to keep it small, because people trying to keep track of every different thing that we could do. We have 17 WCA events or something like that. It's just too many. People are not going to stick around to watch that all day. But if you had maybe 2 or 3 different events, I think it would help reduce any chance that there might be people who get bored after the first hour or hour and a half.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of Michael, but just because he's not here, and I spoke to him for ages on my channel as well. But he did say that at no point did he say that 3x3 will be the only event involved. So he's keeping a super open mind to how it develops over time. But with things like this, with prototyping, you have to start with something, and
right.
You have to start with something, and the something that you start with will upset someone. You cannot be all things to all people. It's just, that's really, really tough. But I hear what you're saying, and I hear what people are saying about it. About a perceived lack of variety, but I'm willing to just wait and see how it progresses. I'll obviously only see it as an observer online. I won't see how it goes on the day, because it is a long day. A 64-person bracket takes a long time to chew through.
Yeah.
And his idea, and you can go and watch him talk further about this. I imagine you guys will talk to him at some point as a sponsor as well, as he's kind of doing the rounds. But he's talked about an idea of making it more like an event, more like a convention to some extent. I don't know. I feel like let the man cook, let him cook, see what happens.
I would say, like, don't form any really solid, harsh opinions until we're at least 3 in. The first one, there's probably going to be a ton of troubleshooting. It's bound to happen.
First one's going to be rough.
The second one, okay, they fixed some things. They fixed probably the major things. There's probably going to be some minor things that'll probably come up. By the third one, they should have some semblance of a system. They probably will get better at, handling issues as they arise and getting them fixed quicker. By that third one, that's when I feel like you can start, kind of developing some stronger opinions and be like, okay, this is what I think about it. Maybe this is, the wrong format, or maybe we should alter it. So, I mean, the first few are going to essentially be trial runs. They aren't going to be fully fleshed out. They aren't going to be perfect. Even a WCA comp is never really perfect. Every competition I've ever been to has, run behind to some degree, whether it's only 5 minutes, whether it's up to 30 minutes, there's always been some sort of issue, and it's never perfect. So I think people are expecting it to be better than it possibly could by the first competition.
I think so. I think there's a lot of expectation. It's rough. There's the analogy that's coming to mind is like, when there's a TV show that ends, and the writers will bring it to a conclusion, they'll end it, but during and during the time that the TV show's been on air, people have got really close to it. They've developed an affection for the characters. They've really invested time into it. They talk about it, things like that. And then the TV show's written out, it's ended, and people mainly, a lot of discourse when that happens is about how bad the ending was, about how everyone hates the ending.
Yeah.
Because there is an emotional attachment to it. I think that's inherently something that is happening here as well in certain parts. Like, people are so emotionally, quite validly, so emotionally attached to speedcubing that they are taking an approach that this isn't perfect and therefore it shouldn't exist and it should just keep going forever exactly how it is and nothing should change and all that is.
Right.
And it's tough, right? Because and then you have people of a different opinion, which is like, well, this is exciting. Let's see what happens here. This is an interesting new direction.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of those is wrong per se. Like, a lot of people watching will know I made a video that got me a little bit of heat from a Facebook group because I was disappointed that someone had put their head above the parapet to say, hey, I'm going to try something. And they got a lot of valid, in some cases, questions and criticisms, but in a lot of other places, really quite personal and sort of unfounded criticism. And I thought this is essentially like bullying is what I'm feeling. I then went on to make a video about it, and I think rather than being as smart as I could have been about it, I think I probably was just a bit of a bully as well, which is not great, and I don't recommend it, and I don't love that it happened, but it happened. There's a lot of emotion,
yeah,
and there's a lot of contradicting. There's a lot of contradicting hopes and dreams for speedcubing.
Yeah.
Is ultimately what I'm trying to say. And I think when someone puts their hand up and says, hey, I'm going to try a thing, they are really risking upsetting lots of people, because lots of people do not want their thing to be changed because it's so personal to them. Yeah, is kind of what I've observed.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is going to be a net positive for the cubing community. Even if the first few maybe are a little rocky, I still think overall this is going to be something that everyone is going to eventually enjoy.
I really hope so. I don't think as well, just going back to price, I don't think in cubing, I don't think we've really been exposed to events.
Yeah.
Really. You know what I mean? We've got WCA comps, which are events in their own right, and majors, which are events in their own right, but in a very unique kind of way. Whereas we're now seeing events. You know, that's what the PSL is. It's putting on events. It's putting on entertainment for an audience in a way that I don't think WCA necessarily has been. There's another event happening on the other side of the country, which similarly is putting on an event, which is in an actual theater, right? And the prices for those things are going to be higher than WCA comps because everyone's getting paid. And I think that's great. That is like the next big move in speedcubing, is really honoring and compensating our star athletes. That won't happen until we start generating, funds and inviting in outside sponsorship as well. So there's work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done, and it's gonna be a little painful, the transition, I think. But I think we'll get through it as a community, and we'll come out the other side. And I hope anyway, we'll come out the other side and go, yeah, this was long term a good thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking too. I'm very hopeful for it. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I do think that this is the next step in speedcubing.
Yeah, I reckon. Should we move on to some hardware?
Yeah, let's do it.
Where do you want to start? I'm not sure which of these you have. Is there any of this that we've got on our list that you actually have in your hands right there?
There is one that I have.
Have you got a GAN Square-1? Are you going to jump scare a GAN Square-1?
No. I wish I had a GAN Square-1. We've been looking for new Square-1 tech, but no. I have, let's see, let me make sure this is the right cube.
You got a Super WeiLong. Okay. Super WeiLong.
It is the Super WeiLong.
Yeah, let's go, V2.
Yeah, this is an interesting cube. I'll because we will have a video coming out on this, but I'll the general thought is when I first tried it, I set it up.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
So I will say out of the box, I was a little disappointed. You're spending $82 on this US. And out of the box, it's not the most usable cube.
Okay.
But
interesting.
With that said, similar to the Super WeiLong, it was, an upgrade of, it was essentially a nicer version of the V9, of the WRM V9. Whereas the Super WeiLong V2 is like a nicer kind of upgraded version of the WeiLong, or the WRM V10. Now they feel very similar. You can tell that they are different. They have a slightly different feel, but they are very similar. Like the piece design is near identical. There are a couple of differences. But I mean, I personally am not the biggest fan of the V10. I really don't like it. However, Super WeiLong V2, I set it up the same way I set up the V10, and this thing feels really nice. It's just controllable enough. It's got good speed. I'm not really locking up. I'm not catching as much as I would with the V10. I don't know if there is some difference that I'm missing, some maybe internal design change, but I kind of like it. Do I like it more than the Huameng TG, the one I'm using right now as my main? No. But
okay,
I think people who upgraded from the V9 to the V10, just stick with the V10. But if you still have the Super WeiLong and you want to upgrade to the Super WeiLong V2 for sure.
Okay. So I can almost hear the comments now. I can almost hear them underneath every video that's going to be posted about this cube. And it's going to be a very simple question. Is it worth $82?
Man. Oh.
because it's more expensive than a GAN 15.
Think of it like a GAN cube. Is a GAN cube worth its price?
That's subjective, isn't it? It's all subjective, everyone.
Yeah. Just think of it because it's essentially the V10 was even people considered like MoYu's version of a GAN cube. So think of this as a GAN cube from MoYu. Think of it that way, and then decide if you think the price is worth it.
Yeah. Can I just? I'm gonna sort of. I saw Dylan Miller streaming with one today, and someone popped up in his chat and said, because he mentioned at some point he got it to a setting and he was just like, it feels like a GAN. And someone in the chat said, hey, wait a minute. Have they made it feel like a GAN for Yiheng? And that stuck with me. I thought that was an interesting theory. And then I saw about Bofan moving to MoYu as well.
Oh, interesting.
And there's a potential, this is a little bit tinfoil hat, but there's like, are they making their cubes more GANish for their GAN people who are coming across to MoYu?
Interesting.
I wonder. That is based on literally mostly thin air.
This is a tinfoil hat I can get behind.
They're bringing over GAN people, and I wonder, I don't know how or why, but they are. They've got Yiheng, they've got Bofan. I don't know who might be next, but they're making moves into that top end space, and now we're hearing from, this is two people now who I trust to spin cubes real good, who have said, oh, it feels a little bit GAN. And it's like, interesting. There's consistency there in those reviews.
Interesting.
That's a bit of a theory for you.
I like it. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to tell everyone, tell the world.
On that thought, Yiheng got the 0.86 on the WeiPo V5 20 magnet ball core.
That's interesting. I'm not a big fan of that cube.
Oh, you're not? Does it feel like a GAN 251?
Not completely. It is kind of on the lighter side, and just kind of like the quality of the pieces kind of feel GANish. But I think the fact that it's a little bit smaller and feels more compact, it kind of separates itself from GAN, and it feels a little bit different.
It could be made for little fingers. Could be, you know?
Could be.
I feel like I might be chasing this one down a dead end with the 2x2, but certainly on the 3x3, I feel like there's potentially something there.
I will say with the new WeiPo V5, it's like I've messed around with like the tension settings and stuff and a couple of different setups. And to me, it's either just barely too loose or just barely too tight. And I need that sweet spot right in between, and I cannot set it up in a way in which I like it. But also, I use the Valk 2. I'm someone who still uses the Valk 2. Mainly, not even because it used to be like, you know, oh, this is like the meta. I use the Valk 2 because it reminds me of the old Dian Zanchi. It's got solid weight to it. It feels really smooth. So it's a completely different feel from what I typically use.
There was a lot of New Zealand speedsters who used the Valk 2 until they literally physically couldn't use it anymore because it just fell apart. They just wore it out and they weren't happy when it happened. Those molds must exist for the Valk 2. They have to still exist. What a great reissue that would be.
I've said this to people before. I was like, I think cubing manufacturers should release a retro line.
Hell yeah.
Where they take older cubes and like I like the Chi Thunderclap from like 2016-ish. And give me that cube, same setup, like same mold and everything. Just throw magnets in it, somehow add a dual adjustment system, and I'd be happy. Because I loved that cube. That cube was great. And if you could just modernize it a little bit, just make it a retro line with some modern features with like essentially the same, you know, piece design, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. I was just about to say they should do that. The first one I would say that they should do that to is the MoYu WeiLong GTS3. But I've just checked and you've got that one in stock, so I'm going to have to buy one of them immediately.
Yeah, GTS3 is good.
I love that one. That was the one that was the base of the Worm 19, which is now gone.
Yeah, the Worm the Worm WR. Well, I'm saying the same thing. The Worm 2019 is essentially just the GTS 3M without ridges.
Without the ridgy bits, yeah. But that one's gone. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been talking for ages now, so let's get to it. So GAN Square-1. We now know, is it Rasmus is the name of the guy who was making the videos? He always had, secret Square-1 in the description. He's now revealed that it was always the GAN Square-1, because there was so much speculation. Like in the early days of Cubecast, I was chasing this dragon around, this GAN Square-1, and the comments and the speculation around it. Oh, it's this, it's that, it can't be GAN, it's got to be this. It was so fun. I've completely forgotten what all the variations were now, because it was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Or it feels like it. But he has now confirmed that was always the GAN Square-1.
Yeah. Hey, and clearly, my concern for anything that GAN related is usually that it's going to be too blocky or too catchy because it's very square. And with Square-1, even the YJ, which I would consider a somewhat rounded kind of feel, is still pretty catchy. So with GAN, my concern was, is it gonna feel too much like a GAN cube, which might be bad for Square-1. But clearly, it has potential. It can get good times. So it's only made me more excited for the cube.
I think it's probably the longest. Is it the longest? Do you reckon the longest hype train for a GAN cube so far? Like, we've been talking about this one forever.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, it feels like years. I feel like the first rumor surfaced years ago. It
was mentioned by Mr. GAN in an interview. Well, it was 2 years when I was making videos about it, so it must be 2.5 years now, you know? I think in the same video he might have mentioned the 5x5. I can't actually remember. And the 4 but there was the 4x4 has been going along for a long time as well. Yeah. Matty is seeing that.
Yeah, apparently he got more prototypes. So I wonder if they're still developing it.
I feel like he's had 3 versions now. But I guess they are.
I wish, and I'm sure he's probably sworn to secrecy by GAN, but I wish he would just tell us what is different between each version, just to kind of like satisfy my own curiosity about the cube. Because, I mean, we've all been waiting for so long.
I feel like from GAN's point of view, they probably don't want to, what's the word? They don't want to like promote the mistakes they're making or the perceived mistakes they're making. And they are maybe extra sensitive about 4x4 because the first one was such a
true, yeah,
womp, you know? So I personally, I mean, I'm not really invested because I don't solve Square-1, but like I'm watching this happen and 4x4. I do solve 4x4. I love 4x4. But watching the development of the 4x4, I am personally seeing all these versions and I'm going, I rate that actually. I like that GAN are doing that because they're really, really working on it hard. Same happened with the GAN 15. Same is happening with the Square-1 as well. Like as a company, watching that happening, I'm like, I rate this actually.
Yeah. I would love to give our feedback. And I think we have a unique kind of way of giving feedback because, you know, we have to sell, like we get people that come into our store, and I'm sure GAN gets this too, but we get people that come into our store and a lot of the time we have to kind of decide what kind of cube is going to cater to those people. And, you know, we have to make certain suggestions, certain judgment calls. So I think we'd have a somewhat unique way of giving feedback. If they sent us a prototype, we could say, okay, this is the kind of stuff that people are expecting from 4x4s that we see in our area. This is the kind of thing that a lot of people have either complained about, or this is the kind of thing that people are demanding. And I think it would be cool to get a prototype to, 1, see if they're implementing that kind of thing. And 2, you know, if they're not implementing it, I would love to, you know, tell them, hey, this is something that people are like, at least in our area, in, you know, even the US, people have been asking for this kind of thing. So GAN, if you're listening, send us a prototype. Send us a stickered one too. It doesn't have to be stickerless or UV or anything. Just send a prototype. We all here want to try it out, and I feel like we could offer some pretty good feedback.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're putting Cam and Jaden in a plane, and we're sending them to you. We're going to post them to your place, and they're going to come test everything they can find. So mirror cubes is the last thing on our list. What's going on with mirror cubes?
We've got two different brands coming out with mirror cubes. We have, we'll start with Diansheng. Diansheng is making not a 3x3 mirror cube, not a 4x4 mirror cube, but a 5x5 mirror cube. And it's going to be, from what I can tell, it's going to be purple, like the GAN one. And it's interesting. It's going to be magnetic, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm really excited to see that because I have seen, I believe it's, I think Shengshao makes the 5x5 mirror cube.
Sounds like a Shengshao thing.
But it's not meant to be speed solved, whereas like the GAN one is. So I think Diansheng is kind of taking that like more speed solve route. So it's supposed to be, a bit better in performance. So I'm really excited for that.
Same. I've seen a ton of those. I think at bigger registers, I've seen them called bump cubes. But I think they're all like custom. They're all very, very rare, the ones that I've seen. Yeah. Like one-offs, 3D printed jobs. So I think it's really kind of exciting to see someone producing a higher register one. I think is really fun. And all about it. Because we had, so like mirror cubes, let's cast our minds back to the sort of mirror cube momentum in hardware terms. There was like, I suppose the first real excitement was the GAN one back in 21 or 22.
The GAN mirror cube had just come out when I moved out to Vegas, so it would have been 2022, I believe. Mid 2022.
Yeah, right. That one came out, and then it was what it was. It was priced like a GAN, so it was moderately well received. I don't know what your sales were like of that one, but it didn't go super hard over here. And then that was pretty much it until Qi, right? Until Qi did their magnetic ones. And
those are pretty decent. Like they're fairly good.
Yeah, I think so. They're really nice to solve on. I've actually got one of those personally. I really like it. I got the green one because green's the best. And yeah, they, I think, rejuvenated a little bit of interest in the hardware. Meanwhile, in the background, which I think is relevant, when the FTO is increasing and the hardware is coming out, and there's more chatter about FTO and the WCA, bubbling underneath that chatter is a lot of people going, nah, it should be mirror cubes in the WCA. It should be mirror cubes. So there was some momentum was growing in the community, certainly here in our circles in the West. And then now, boom, Diansheng with the 5x5 and MoYu with their range of magnetic mirrors as well.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a bunch of different colors from what I've seen. Right now, we've only got 2 colors. I don't remember what they are, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be like a bunch of them. Hopefully a nice like darkish green color, like foresty green. That's personally what I've been wanting. Qi, if you're out there, dark green clock for your next color.
Ooh, that would be good, hey.
I would love that. Nice dark green, kind of earthy tones. I would be down for that.
Hey, before I get chewed for misinformation, there is a Lee Mirror 5x5 cube on SCS, and there's also a Shengshao Mirror 4x4. So there are larger register cubes in existence, of course. Ooh, I hadn't seen that Cyclone Boys Pure Gold one. Let's go. That's pretty cool. The metallic gold one.
Oh, now you're just shopping?
Now I'm just shopping. Sorry. Talk among yourselves, everyone. Just shopping on SCS. No, that's exciting. Whether or not Mirror will get into the WCA, I don't know. Comment below. Do you think Mirror Cubes will ever make it into the WCA? Also, who do you think will be the fourth the fourth athlete invited to the PSL? I forgot to drop that in earlier for some engagement bait.
Obviously you, Mike. It's going to be you.
Obviously me. That's
you've got your whole league.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's it. I've got my own league. You can just watch me thrashing myself on there and getting thrashed by myself at the same time as well.
So just waiting for, what is it, Scottish Mike? Or even more Scottish Mike?
Even more Scottish Mike is one of the ones as well. Yeah, I can't even remember. There was so many. I let my chat dictate what some of the mics were going to be, which was a mistake. I'm ready to admit that. So I've got my work cut out pretending to be all these different 16 versions of myself. That'll be interesting and a lot of fun. But yeah, I think we're done, hey?
All right.
Cool. Awkward outro. Peace, everyone. Like and subscribe. Bye.